Alright guys, let's dig on, man. Another episode of Smalls is Outdoors. Now, if y'all haven't watched my last video, I went over my lipless crankbaits, this, that, and the third. So I'm going to dig into my jigs and my new worms that I have applied to my arsenal. But before we get into all that, me and my wife Heather are thinking about doing this trout fishing trip in Greenville, Texas on Saturday, February 15th. And I've never caught a trout before. Never went for rainbow trout. I'm mostly catfish, panfish, crappie, and catfish. Just a southerner's dream kind of thing. Never really done it. And I tie flies. I've tied flies for since I was in middle school, so that had to be every bit of 25 now. Had to be every bit of 13 years ago. And I know I'm good at tying flies, but I'm just wondering if they're going to dump all these trout in this lake in Greenville that everyone's going to. It's a tournament fishing trip, and like I said, I ain't never caught trout, so we're hoping to be excited about it and see what comes of it. And hopefully I can get some footage, maybe some pictures of how we were going to do and how we were going to get it. You know, we're just going to do as best we can in this little competition. Hopefully I'm going to have a few friends, maybe a co-worker stop by, and hopefully I'll have a GoPro so I can get the live action going on. If not, I'm using a phone right now to get all this stuff down. It's hard to buy, photography stuff when you're broke all the time. So, that being said, let's go back to the original memes of doing this video. I'm going to start off by saying I do not condone to alcohol or tobacco, nicotine, vape, anything like that. I also do not condone to, just swearing in general. I say it every now and then in videos, and I try not to. But this is opened up for you young viewers. With all that being said, let's dig into the new arsenal that I've added into my tackle box. And so, I'm going to start off with my jig box. And I don't think on my last video I really dug in to my topwaters neither. And I know this is not no trout stuff. We're still stuck on bass fishing. So I know y'all just watched me do that. So let me scooch y'all back a little bit. So hopefully I can get all this in the frame. So we're going to start off with the new arsenal of my jig sets. Jig sets turn into... What we have here is a swim jig, and the color pattern of this swim jig, this is made by Sandtone Lures. It rattles. Good little swim jig. What really catches me on guard on jigs is the color patterns. If I see a color pattern, I don't go after just white or black or, just solid colors in general. I mostly go after, something that really points out to me. Something that looks just neato Frito in general. And something that I can look at it and be like, yeah, I got a soft plastic for the box. I have a soft plastic in the box that can really bring out the shine in these swim jigs. That's what I'm looking for as me. It is what it is kind of thing. So what I have here is called Mexican Heather. You have, don't know if you can see it on this camera, but what we have is we have purple flash marabou, however you want to call it. We have a bunch of flash going on here. Got a whole bunch of legs going on. Now the legs are green with black/gray spotting to it. Really good jig. I've heard this has worked at Toledo Bend. It's worked at Lake Fork. Just all around good swim jig. You add a pig to it. If y'all don't know what a pig is a trailering bait. A trailering bait could be anywhere from a Senko to a creature, a soft plastic bait. It can also go into as even rivets. Rivets, if y'all probably walk past them in Walmart 100 times. Rivets are pork. Rivets are, what it is it looks like a little old frog with two legs, and it just paddles whenever it goes through the water. I tried to make that look as realistic as possible. I talk with my hands a lot, so I'm trying to make it out to help y'all, try to follow along. These jigs right here are good for throwing alone. When you throw a pig onto one of these jigs, it really throws it out of the ordinary, and fish just love it, bass wise at least. Okay? I don't throw a lot of white, so I can't tell you if white really works for your body of water. Same thing with, black and blue. Black and blue will always be true. That's what I've always heard, especially in dark water. But whenever I dig into jigs, I'm not a big jig fisherman. I literally have 1, 2, 3, 4 jigs. That's it. I really don't throw a lot of jigs. I'm not a big jig fisherman. Can I fish them? Yes. Am I good at it? Absolutely not. If I know the color scheme that they're biting on, and I have the upper hand on that lake, then yeah, of course I'll throw that jig. And matter of fact, I'll buy 3 or 4 of them jigs, and I'll throw them in my box and just leave them alone until I come back to that body of water. But as a mental note, these trays that we have that are made for these baits, you can put a little piece of slit of paper down here, and you can name your body of water what the fish are biting on. Just a quick reference. If you notice on some of these, I write them up top. I write them on each and individual little space that these baits have. So, sometimes even professionals do it. Sometimes they forget what needs to go where and how it needs to go. How fast you need to fish it, what time of the year. My videos, for instance, I'm summertime fishing, and then I want to go back to that same body of water I made the first video on, and I look back, and I see that, okay, I caught this fish on a June bug old monster on August 25th of last year. So this year, I look back at that camera footage and I see how I'm working my rod tip. I see how my presentation is going to work through, and that really helps speeds it up, and it really makes it easier on that body of water. Now, is that always the case? And time and time again, creature of habit, will the fish always bite on it? No. Sometimes you got to figure out different baits for the same body of water. I mean, for instance, Lake Louisville is a horrible bass fishing lake. It's more of a crappie, sand bass, and catfish lake. Is there still largemouth? Yes. Is there some good sized ones? Yes. If you know where to go, of course. But you can go to the north end of Lake Louisville, and you can be catching them on watermelon red. But as soon as you go down the coastline and you go to the east side of the lake, slowly just trolling along, just doing your normal fishing biz, and you notice the bite just stopped like that. Now, let's get real here. If it's 112 degrees and it's 12 o'clock in the afternoon, yeah, fish are going to stop biting. They're going to go to deep water. So that's automatically, you got to know you got to change your baits. But let's create a scenario here. Let's say it's 112 day and night, and everything runs the same. You're throwing the same baits, yada yada yada. Okay, so you're going down the east side. You throw your watermelon red. All of a sudden, the fish quit biting, like just automatically. I mean, you go across the whole east side lake. There's no wind. I mean, I'm perfect scenario here. Okay. Then you're like, okay, maybe it's the bait. So you start switching baits up, and then boom, they start biting on June bug. Okay, so you finish up the east side of that lake. You get to the bottom of the south end next to the dam, and then you're like, okay, well they quit biting on June bug. So you're sitting here and you're like, oh crap, okay, they're done biting on that, and you're wrestling around, not day in day out, but pretty much 2 hours wasted you trying to find the bait to get on the fish. Got that. Okay, that's where labeling really comes in handy. Okay, if you fish the same lake, if you fish it, let's say you live on the same lake, okay, and you have your master spots that there's a tournament going on or something, you know what to go to because you wrote it down. That's just how it goes. And it really helps. It really helps drag it out where everything is kind of narrowed down between the left and the right side, straight down the middle, walking the line, that the fish are going to follow this kind of baits. Is it going to be like that every day? No. You're going to have cloudy days, rainy days, yada, yada, yada. But the color scheme of that really plays a part on that. And the presentation really plays a part on that. And so, labeling, if you're like me and you're always buying baits and you're always switching them around, okay, that's a different story. Other than that, if you keep the same baits in the same box, you got a full tray, and you know what's in that full tray, and you're not going to move none of them baits, go ahead and mark some stuff down. For instance, right here, spoons for, why does that say deer? Okay. For, I don't even know what I was trying to go after. Spoons are for, sunny days. A good stacked motion that you're putting on your fish finder. Boom, there it is. There she go, right there. Now you're gonna need a swivel. I also wrote that as well. So I have these little tips and tricks that I wrote down in front of me. For instance, you're throwing a Carolina rig in open water on Lake Louisville, and you're like, okay, how many inches down do I need to go? So you go ahead and pull your fish tape measure out, and you're like, okay, 16 inches. Okay, 16 inches. Boom, you narrowed it down. Okay, so the next day you go out and you throw the Carolina rig 16 inches again. You don't catch no fish. Okay, well somewhere in that range the fish are biting. Somewhere. Now you got to play around with it. You want to set up 2 or 3 rods, 16, 19, and maybe 13 or 12. However you want to throw it. Cool. Even then, so you can still transform it. Okay, they now biting on the Carolina rig, so we're gonna go ahead and throw out a Texas rig. Okay, well you got your color schemes down pretty much, and I gotta take off my jacket. I am frying. I'm over in my own house just cooking. as far as that goes, a good little tip and trick is just label your baits on top of your trays. With your Sharpie, you're like, oh, well, I don't want my Sharpie to rub off, or I need to get my Sharpie off. If you want to take Sharpie off of plastic, you just mark some Sharpie over the top of it and just wipe it off with your finger. It comes off like that. Sharpie will always take Sharpie off. Metal, wood, well, metal or plastic. I'd say wood. Metal or plastic. Okay, that's as far as that goes on my jigs. I'm going to my top waters here. And I'm going to show you what I added to my top water arsenal. Okay? And in a couple of videos, you might have seen me throwing them, and I'm like, yeah, I threw this, and this. But, it skips people's by, okay? So right here, I got a Heaton Lucky 13. I bought this at a flea market for $3. You go to Walmart, they're about $4 or $5. But this is baby bass. It's a poppin' top water. It's a good little. I recommend this color. It's just, I don't know why, but every time I see an old school fisherman, he's always got one of these in there. Same color and transparency, same size. If you really want to be a better fisherman, this better be in your arsenal. You may not pick it up enough, but the days that you do pick it up, you're glad that you had it. I mean, I'm just gonna point that out. I don't care about the brand. I don't care, who makes it or how big the hooks are or the size. I'm not that kind of fisherman. I'm not going to get that intricate. I don't need to do math every time I need to cast a lure out. So we're going to put that on pause real quick. Back to the top water scheme of it. I have a bluegill, and this is made by H2O Express. And when I got it, I looked at it and I said, that's really lifelike. But at the same time, it's not. I've never, in my whole life, I've seen shad, yes. And that's it, shad. I've only seen shad go across the water. And how you use it is you just pop it and it just stirs up some trouble. That's all it does. But I've only seen like a couple of these made by different manufacturers, and I can't tell you if this is low or high quality. I mean, it's $8 bait, so I would think it's a higher quality than most. It's a soft plastic, which means it's squeaky. But whenever I casted it, and how I casted it is an eyeball is gone. And it points out to me that it's cheap. And I really want to take it back and just be like, hey, let me get a different one. That's not supposed to happen. I can tell it was super glued and someone half-assed it. So it looks lifelike, yes, but I don't know which situation to use this in. So I would never really pick this up unless there's some magical crap going down. I'm really not gonna touch it. Other than that, that's my top waters. Okay, so I thought I'd point them out of my new arsenal. I'm gonna save the best worm for last on this one, and you'll know why here pretty soon. But I'm gonna tell you the soft plastic worms and lizards. That's it, just worms and lizards. No crawfish, no creature baits, no innovation reaction, nothing like that is popping into play on this. Just straight lizard and straight worms. That's it. Okay. So right now, I went to Walmart, had this in the bargain bin. Now what it is it's watermelon red with red flake. If I can open it up. I've never been a real big lizard fan, but if I have to, I'll pull it out. It's not one of the rainy day ones. No, I'll throw a lizard just because I feel like throwing a lizard. I can't say that about a lot of different baits. But this right here, man, it's greasy. This right here is what we're looking at. It's a good. That's about 8 inches, somewhere around there. My big old monsters are 12 inches. Okay, so right here, pretty good size, pretty good looking bait. I can safely say. I usually throw these on a Carolina rig. I don't Texas rig them. There's a few soft plastics I will never throw on a Texas rig that people like. You got to do it, dude. I'm not doing it. Okay. But right here, Carolina rig for sure. Do I know which lake or body of water is going to work on? Absolutely not. It's just something there that nothing else is working. I have something to fall back on. That's the whole point of baits. You stack your baits so you can figure out what works on your body of water. I've been trying to figure out this pond for 3 months now. And I've been going through, and I have not found a bait that works. And it's sad to say, I'm past a novice, I'm past amateur, I'm a little bit under a pro. I'm about semi-pro fishing professional at this point, and I've yet to figure out this pond. I don't know what's going on. I'm about to start fishing with grenades at this point. So hopefully, maybe at this pond, a lizard might drag into it. But I also got to take into account it's winter. And when it's winter, they want some food. In the fall time, they really bulk up at that point. But all this weather changes in Texas right now, I can't really say nothing like that. I can't say, hey, this is going to work this day or this. Look, literally, it went from 62 to 55 within 10 minutes today. So, Texas weather is Texas weather. So, scooting along, I'm going back to the lizards. I showed you watermelon red. Two of my almost favorites. When I say almost favorites on my colors, it's almost favorite. Watermelon red, almost favorite. Okay. Junebug is one of my top colors. It's because dark water, there's nothing else to really go to. You can throw Mardi Gras, or you can throw black, stuff like that, and that's about it. I mean, as far as dark colors, watermelon really won't show up in a very murky water. It just really won't. So that's why I got the Junebug. Never seen a lizard Junebug colored, but hey, it is what it is. It's turning. Whenever it hits spring is like perfect for lizards, because what lizards do during the springtime is lizards are coming out of their hibernation. Same with snakes and pretty much all the animals. They're coming out to get some warmth. And so what lizards do is they go down to the bass fishing bed and they eat the eggs. And then fish see them eat the eggs. Fish eat the lizard. Boom. And that's how that goes. So it's a good little thing to kind of transparency on. Junebugs will be one of my arsenal colors. If I'm fishing murky water and they're not biting on Junebug, then I guess I'm just not catching nothing that day. But I will throw Junebugs day in, day out on murky water like that. Sometimes I'll play around and if they're not biting on my soft plastic Junebug, then that's when I switch to my lipless crankbaits. There's just no ifs, ands, or buts about that. So, moving on. So now it's winter time. fish are real finicky. It's just how fish are. I can't explain it. I'm not a fish. Couldn't tell you a fish mindset. So I'm trying to give it to you in layman's terms. Right here, I have a Zoom trick worm, and the color is black, solid black. You can never go wrong with black. Now, I know I just got on the tangent on my June bug color. That in dark water, I will throw June bug. Well, in all my finesse worms and all my trick worms, I do not have a June bug. I have watermelon. And that's pretty much it. So I needed a black color to really, I needed a dark color to really spruce up that if I was in that situation, I would have it. So I went to Walmart, got the super value. I think I paid like $1.50 for it, something like that. And it's only a 6-pack, or it's an 8-pack. Cool. You know, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But at the same time, if it works, cool. If it don't, that's fine too. But I'll always have it. Black is always good to go to. Even in my worms, I will show you right here, guaranteed, in my worms, I have these lug strikes. And I throw these once every blue moon. Like, I'm talking blue moon. Right there. But only thing, it's got a fire curl tail. I mean, that proves it right there. Either of these, you can wacky rig these. Wintertime, this winter going into fall, it's perfect. It is absolutely perfect for a wacky rig. Safe to say, I like Texas rig, yes, and my Texas rig is pretty much my number 1, Carolina number 2, wacky rig number 3, drop shot number 4. You know, I always have that mindset whenever it comes to fishing like that. So, I told you I'd save you the best for last. And the best for last is, I'm going to pull out a regular worm just to prove this point, okay, of how big this worm is. And when I seen it, I was like, you know, it would be cool if I caught a fish on it. Okay. If you can see, that trick worm goes from the tip of my pointer finger to my wrist. So, it's really not that big. So right here, that I added to the arsenal is the original jelly worm, Man's Bait Company. And when I tell you this worm's big, the comparison of my trick worm to this is double the size. This is, I want to say 15 inches, something like that. But it says here on the package, Paul Elias says bass all-time heavyweight record of 132 pounds, 8 ounces. But on the picture, that does not look like a 132 pound bass. It's my joke of the day. I casted this, and you can, I really want to wacky worm this, but it's got a paddle tail to it, and it looks like it's watermelon red. And it's a pretty good color. It's durable. I can safely say it's durable. I've thrown one out. When I threw the one out, I can literally, launch at mofo, literally halfway to Mexico. And it doesn't really tear up my braking system either. And surprisingly, I think because I got a good reel. But since I got all this stuff, I'm hoping to still figure out this pond and keep on keeping on. And I'm hoping y'all